Welcome to Season 2 of Difference Talks, brought to you by the LaBov Marketing, Communications, and Training Team. Our guests are inspiring people who share their stories of brand differentiation. Based on our book, The Power of Differentiation, our goal is to inspire 1 million people with the message that winning hearts and minds are the first step in growing market share. Now, on with the show.
Welcome, everybody. We are Marcus McMillan and Barry LaBov, and this is Difference Talks. We have a wonderful guest, a good friend of ours, an icon in his industry. His name is Barry Schneider, COO and president of SDI, Steel Dynamics. And today, we're going to learn from him some very, very interesting things as we have a conversation, including what role does creativity, yes, creativity play in steel making or aluminum making? Isn't it just a commodity? No, it's not. And that's one of the reasons SDI has been an amazing success story for 30 years. A little bit of background on Barry, and I'll turn it to him to give a little bit more depth. Barry started with SDI when it was brand new, when there was no steel mill. There literally was a cornfield. And he had to convince his wife to move to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and imagine what would be built on that cornfield. And now 32, 33 years later, it's one of the top producers in its field in the United States with worldwide recognition. So Barry Schneider, welcome. Please share a little bit of your background, and then we'll go into a lot of depth.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me today. I'll try to keep the information moving. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and my dad was an artist, and my mother was a school teacher who became a homemaker once us kids came along. And I had a pretty good sense for math and science growing up. Didn't know what I wanted to be. Decided engineering was for me. So I came to a small school in Terre Haute, Indiana, Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. And I'll tell you what it appealed to me. It was a small school where I could be a small fish and I could be the reason people are teaching. And I really embraced that teamwork, that belonging. I also had a chance to play football when I was in college, and that was important to me because the teamwork, essentially, football to me is that game where 11 people have to do their job every time. And I know those people would be my best friends in my life. They would be mentors, leaders. They would be people that would lead me as well as I would lead them. And I got job offers from Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and a steel company called LTV Steel. And I thought, well, what a better place to find myself than the steel mill? Because I had an education, but I didn't know what I wanted to do or what I would be good at. So I looked at steel industry as a place that has incredible amounts of energy, so power distribution, high voltage systems, environmental systems, whether it's water treatment, air compressors, modern drives, modern hydraulics. So I thought everything you can imagine engineering is somewhere in this facility. So I said, why not? I was also keen on being a young person. I had been in rock and roll bands growing up. So I thought, well, what's better? I could live in Cleveland. Cleveland rocks.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
and my brother-in-laws were there at the time. So I played music with them. And I immediately went on shifts, working around the clock, so I could make trade things to make Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays off, so I could be down in the flats in Cleveland playing music and being a young person, living my life. So it was a no-brainer. So I got into steel.
A lot of times we think of steel, and we initially think, I think very much historically, that it's an old industry. It's the old mills and all that, but steel, especially when SDI was really in the stage of being created and building, was a disruptive industry. The concept of the steel mill had dramatically changed, and SDI has been part of that. So the steel mill of 1900 is not the steel mill that SDI runs. Can you, in a way, just share what that means?
No, exactly. And let's say from the 1930s on, It was just a heavy energy, heavy pollution generating industry. The barrier to entry at the time was the capital, because to build a blast furnace, a large continuous caster, and a large hot strip mill, it would be, even in the 1980s, it would be billions of dollars, which is why it was unattainable. That was the economic barrier. So an idea was had by a German company, SMS at the time. At the same time, Mark Millett, one of our founders, was working on a technology that was developed in the early 1950s, the Hazlitt casting, that was attempting to disrupt that industry to make flat rolled steel attainable at a capital cost that was something new companies could do. So Mark made that old technology work, even though it had gone through all the big steel mills, and they all said, this will never work.
Right.
He made it work. At the same time, this idea from Germany was born. Nucor at Crawfordsville, Indiana, decided to invest in that technology. And the difference was the casting, instead of being 9 inches thick, it ends up being 2 inches thick. And what that means is you need a lot less equipment. That's what brought that capital cost down. But it was completely disruptive technology in that the quality was not the same. There was a trade-off. So at that time, many customers were overserved. They didn't need the quality. If you're making a garbage can, for example, you don't need the same thing that goes into the fender of a car, So I think the industry was ready to be disrupted.
Right.
The technology was ready to commercialize. And Nucor Steel at that time was ambitious and innovative, and they said, "Let's do this." And they put together the team in Crawfordsville, Indiana, who happened to be Keith Bussey, Dick Teets, and Mark Miller, who became our founders, deployed this technology and started the first one up. So when SDI came along, the real disruption was that it was only going to take about 275 people to get that. And we could build the plant in about 2 years. So the innovation was able to come to life because companies like Steel Dynamics embraced it. So it's been a great road for us, but it all started because it was a technology that was attainable for a new company like Steel Dynamics to go out and get seed funding and start.
Yeah, there's a book on it by Clay Christensen, if you're familiar with that book. It was Disruptive Technologies, and it's all about the mini mills. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole much on this, but the large steel companies were happy to cede some of that business to the smaller mini mills because they go, we don't want to deal with that. And then really brilliant people like you and the founders said, wait a minute, we can take that on. Plus, we can move up the scale of quality right here. So that's how you guys have done it, which is extraordinary.
And I think technology is part of any equation, but when you build a culture and an esprit de corps that knows how to exploit that technology, that's where you find success. When you find people and you give them a construct, a culture that they work within that allows them to be their very best. And that's how you get development, when you get people invested in what they do and you give them not just accountability, but you give them authority to make a difference. And that's the mindset that allowed it to grow. And in many ways, steel was ready for the revolution.
You guys have exploded, expanded, grown. I mean, how do you keep that culture so, powerful, kind of intimate, small as you're growing, right?
Well, let's start with the culture. When I was first hired in, there was 12 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment down on Village, Canterbury Green, whatever it was called.
Sure.
And I just turned 27. My wife was at home trying to sell the house, and we had a son who was 6-month-old at the time. So in a lot of ways, I felt the pressure of I have a family I have to take care of. That I think everybody does that differently, and I thought I just need to work harder. So I come and I'm living in this flop house. We didn't have any furniture or anything, no TV. We didn't need it. We were building a steel mill, and it was truly a great time. And I remember we'd grab a pizza or Subways, and and we'd go back to the apartment, and it'd be 9, 10 o'clock at night when we get back. And I would ask guys like, "Hey, this thing over there, I think I should do that." And they're like, "Yeah, you probably should." and I was trying to feel out my role,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all building the plant, and it was, there's some engineers, there's some people from industry, there's just some people that are just eager and high energy people. And one of the kind of senior guys that was a life mentor to me, still is, just retired. He said, if you think who should be doing it, you should ask yourself, why aren't you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I don't step on people's toes. He goes, you can't step on people's toes here. People want it. They need the help. We're all together. And that was slowly embodied all the time. So there was things that certainly I knew from my experience coming in. But also I was very open to what I was being taught. I was with some of the best steelmakers in the world for the world. And the culture that emerged from that is one that people truly feel like they have an effect on the bottom line. So we're a heavily incented workforce. More than 60% of the pay is at risk each week to make sure that we make, first of all, quality tons. They got to be on an order. You got to hit a certain level of productivity. And if there is a problem and the customer claims it, we're going to double it, take it back from you, so that we're constantly asking those questions. How can I make more? How can I make better? How can I make sure that we're efficient in what we do? There's also a cost bonus. So how do we make sure we watch that money like it's money in our own pocket? That's engagement. But what we do about culture today, one of our senior leaders, Chris Graham, he grew up here in Fort Wayne, and he worked in a welding pit at Nucor Volcraft. He got his education later in life, and I find that he is very complimentary to me. He has taken it upon himself to educate our employees about what that culture means, identifying it. Why do we have bonus systems? Why do we have people engaging to make sure that the mill runs, that we're making the right products? Those are things that our culture demands, that if we're going to be successful, that we have that engagement. But it also means people have to be on board, and not everybody is. There's been a lot of good people over the years. I bet, I'm not even exaggerating, I bet I've interviewed 5,000 people over the years, and a lot of good people we don't hire. And a lot of good people don't come to work for us because they don't necessarily see themselves in that culture. But instead of focusing on why people are different, we focus on why people are the same. People want to be engaged. They want to be part of it. And having a system like ours, where anybody can walk in the door, anybody can call me, say, hey, I have a problem with this. And we talk about it, we resolve them. It might not like my answer, but you're going to get an answer right away. We're going to address it quickly. We're going to make sure that what we're doing is what we say we're doing. And one of our senior leaders, Glenn Pushis, is known throughout the industry as being an unbelievable engineer who puts together these massive projects and executes them. When you look behind the scenes, Glenn is giving a lot of responsibility to his people. He's clear, he communicates well, because these timelines are crucial, the critical paths. And, Glenn's always been able to keep all these balls in the air. So I just picture like a carnival barker with 10,000 things in the air flying around. That's a special skill. But that process brings all of us to the ground and says, hey, how do we all get this done? And I think that begins the culture. So it's essential for us with us, literally, our teams rise with the buildings, they rise with the equipment. And then when you finally get to turn the thing on, it's close as I think men will ever get to, truly delivering life to the world.
The tone that you share is the tone of your company, Barry, which is, there's a humility to it. Yeah, you're doing great. Yes, you're a worldwide leader, and you all act as if today you need to make sure this thing's running right, because we don't want this thing to fail, because we're trying to build this thing. And it's the same way you felt 30 some years ago. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about an interesting aspect of your life, which is the creativity and music involvement that you have, the artistry, and how it affects day-to-day leadership. So thank you so much, Barry Schneider. We will be right back on Difference Talks.
Difference Talks is a LaBov production. Our focus is differentiation, and we believe it's more important than ever to differentiate your brand and experience. Contact us at LaBov.com for a conversation. We'd love to connect with you.
All right, everybody, we are back on Difference Talks with Barry Schneider, COO and president of SDI, Steel Dynamics. We've talked a lot about culture and we've talked about engineering, which is all great. But here's a curveball, Barry. You are musical. You're a musician. You're an artist. Barry, for the audience, if you don't know this, he does something that's very selfless. He will build guitars for people and give them as gifts. He will do this. So they're artistic, they're beautiful guitars. And he does this, which is, I don't know when or where or how he finds the time for this as well. But Barry, talk about the opportunity for you with the way you're wired to use creativity, out of the box thinking on a day-to-day basis in a world where the assumption is, oh, it's commodity, it's engineering, keep your head down, blah, blah, blah. It is the opposite for you. So take it away. Let's hear this approach.
Well, I grew up, my father was an artist, and I don't know that he knew how to multiply or divide. My mother, even though she was a school teacher, once I got to about fourth grade, I was on my own, math and science. But my dad made me look at things a lot different. And a lot of it was through art that I would do when I was young. Also, up till he passed even, he would always tell me, stop being such an engineer. And his point was, engineers want symmetry. They want order. And in many cases, nature's not symmetrical. Nature's not organized. Certainly processes, you want to get them driven towards, a steady state. But many times you find the nuances, and those are the great ideas. And if you're not open to seeing those, you miss them. It's kind of like a lot of people walk around, don't notice the sunset. I guess growing up with an artist as a dad, my dad would say, hey, look at that. Wow, that's something. And then there are minutes, there are moments in time that you have to be aware that there's something else out there, that there's maybe something that is an accident, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And I think as I look at process control and in the engineering side of what I do, there are definitely mistakes that lead us the right way when things aren't performing as they should, perhaps, that you can sit and look and say, well, wait a minute, even though that's not working, we're getting something better out of it. And I think in many ways, our culture at Steel Dynamics, from an exit operator on a galv line saying, why don't we paint steel? It can't be that hard, and management saying, wow, let's look at it. Why not? So hearing these things and being able to act on them, that's really where you can find some hidden gems. And I think for myself, it's creating that culture. And the hardest thing about being promoted over the different jobs I've had is at a certain point, if I'd ask, I said, well, did you think about this? And I just want to be part of that creativity. But a lot of people hear, oh, Barry said, do that. Very rarely am I going to say, go do that. So I make it really clear. I'm not leading you. I'm trying to engage in this search, for good ideas. And many times in my career, it's been, I know the smartest people are in the room. I'm not that smartest person, but a lot of times if you create that atmosphere, you're going to get some wild ideas, and you got to be willing to do them. And I think that's what SDI's culture is also about, is that, we're not going to hurt people, but we're going to have some failures. And those failures would be because we're going in a direction that needs to go, that we got to explore. All the way back to my dad, like I would make a sculpt, and I remember him saying, you're too much of an engineer. You're worried the eyes are in the right place and the ears are the same size. He goes, look at people. Nobody's like that. That's why they're beautiful. It's
cool. I like
well,
so, yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. I just came back from Spain.
I love Spain. It's one of my favorite countries.
The Sagrada Familia, okay, which was designed by Antonio Gaudí. Here's a great quote from him, Barry. Maybe you know this, but it is exactly what your dad was telling you. He said, the straight line was invented by man. There's no such thing as a straight line in nature. Look at plants. Look at the sun. Look at the moon. There's no straight lines.
Never.
And that's exactly what your dad was saying. We've got to get out of this thing where we want everything just perfectly put together. And the other thing, you mentioned this, I'm going to go back a little bit more, if you could, to share a little bit about what you do with guitars. But in music, many of the songs we love started out as an accident. Somebody was playing guitar, you know this as a guitarist, and you make a mistake. It's an official mistake. Your fingers went to the wrong spot, and you go, wait a minute, I love that.
Yeah.
And then your biggest worry is, how do I make sure I can replicate that? What did I do there?
Sure.
That's how some of the greatest songs were created. They were mistakes, but they're beautiful. Share a little about what you do with music and with guitars and how that's inspired you.
So as a young lad, I was really taken with Kiss, the band, and still am. And yeah, my mother wasn't so keen on that back in the day. But to me, it was the sound I wanted to be part of that. I remember my mom meeting me halfway, so she'd help me, first couple guitars I bought. I wanted money because money was freedom. Money was guitars, and effects pedals and all that stuff. And so I will be the first to say, I don't consider myself a musician. I have a daughter who's a musician. She's a natural. Not that she doesn't work hard. But for me, it's very much I have to be in the moment. I have to really work at it. Being in a room with people playing is the ultimate teamwork. And whether you're trying to keep time playing a heavy metal song or whether you're noodling and playing a Grateful Dead song, you have to be responsive to the people that are with you. And that's the magic I find in music. And I got to bring my game, and I got to be really thinking, because I'm not a natural musician, but I love it. Guitars,
come on, Barry.
I let a few go.
Barry, you're designing and painting guitars.
I'm always starting with a guitar. I'm not a woodworker, but I'll start with some, sometimes busted up, sometimes gently loved. But what I like to do is, I like to paint, airbrush, and again, that's something my dad instilled in me. The music was always in my house. For me, it was that freedom. Why I like doing guitars is because I just always loved the guitars. So I have quite a few of them in the house. And fortunately, my wife doesn't go to basement. But I probably about 15 years ago, I bought one. I said, well, I want to learn how to, refinish this. This is a nice guitar, just in a bad spot. So I was able to look at it, design a graphic for it, and again, being Gen X in the 80s, the guitars were pretty cool with the graphics. And so slowly I just started seeing them and seeing, hey, there's a project I could do. And then I kind of donated some to charities, for auctions and things like that, specific to like my kids' high school or things like that. And then I started reaching out and finding bands, people, small bands that, play a lot. I ended up being on stage with a band
Nice.
in Mississippi with some folks, and I painted 3 for them. And then some other bigger bands that tour. And in those cases, I track them down through their management, and I just anonymously mail them off in the night. And
Wow.
they have no idea who I am or what I'm doing. And for me, it's, again, whether I'm playing music, I got to be in the moment. I got to be there because I got to keep my brain thinking about it. But what's really, really cool is we are operating a digital print line, and we have 3 artists. And my dad would be tickled if he knew we had
awesome?
3 artists, because it's such a difference for a steelmaker to be talking about, what do you want that wood grain print to look like?
Exactly.
Wow.
But what we're doing is we're growing the applications of steel. So if you think about on the West Coast of America, where there's forest fires, right? So if you have a steel roof, you have a steel fence, you have steel siding, your house is going to be safer. And we're starting to see regulations that are reflecting that. So instead of looking like we all live in tin cans, why not have beautiful siding that's going to last for 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be until they get better termites. I don't think the termites are going to be gobbling up the steel buildings.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and tell us about that. I mean, there is something in the difference of what STI is doing. What's going on? Tell us about the platforms and all of the technology and innovation that's happening. I think it's very incredible. Again, it's not just steel, and I think sometimes some that are outside of the understanding, right? They don't even know what's all going on at STI. So yeah, tell us about that.
And I think it's interesting. So we're not the biggest steel maker in the world by tons, but when you take a look at market capitalization, what our stock's worth and what the market perceives our worth, we're the fourth largest in the world. And it's because we do a lot of stuff really well. And it starts with the recycled content. So we're the largest recycling company in the country of both ferrous and non-ferrous metals. So, a lot of people have that blue bin in their driveway and they put their pop cans in there. They put the old, vegetable cans. That's the beginning, right? That's just one step of recycling. We're the everything in the between, where we take those materials in a very energy efficient way and we recycle them into new materials. So, in America, 70% of the steel is produced with recycled content. In Europe, it's only 15%. And in Asia, it's less than 5%. So America is the leading edge of the green, clean, low pollution, absolute efficient steelmaking in the world. It starts with us with OmniSource, and the platform that they built. At the very beginning, Mr. Leonard Rifkin was running it was a family business here in Fort Wayne, and they invested in a big way with Steel Dynamics, and it was many ways we wouldn't be here without it. And the fact that they became part of the company back in 2007 was instrumental to where we are today. So as raw materials get more difficult to find, and as technology gets better to reuse more of those things, that has opened up doors for Steel Dynamics. So in many cases, our customers are also selling a scrap. We're making sure that those things that get put out get a chance to become recycled in a new thing. And it is energy efficient. It is the best technology in the world. In many cases, the rest of the world's catching what started here in America with the mini mills, with Steel Dynamics. We also do non-ferrous, which is the aluminum and copper and things that don't have as much iron. Aluminum, that's why we got in the aluminum industry, because we have access to all this scrap that we're moving. And with aluminum, the more recycled content you can use, the customers want that. It also affects the total energy that's needed. So to be able to build an aluminum industry in this day and age, many people question, oh, they'll never get this done. That's just rhetoric, and then we started, they're like, yeah, but they're not going to build a plant. And now the plant's running and they're like, wow, I guess Steel Dynamics does what they say they're going to do. And to build a world-class team is because people see what we've done. They've seen what we say we do, we're going to do, and they see positive effect. Building a team is relatively easy when you have a reputation of being accomplishing goals and getting things done. So the aluminum industry right now in Columbus, Mississippi, our new rolling facility is up and rolling. The hot side and the casting's up. It's just the downstream units are commissioning now, but they're making commercial shipments. And it's just a little over 2 years from when we announced the project.
Wild.
$3 billion investment that quick. So aluminum, we're super excited where we're going to go with that. The market needs it. There's a shortage of can material. Automotive would like to get more aluminum so they make cars lighter and stronger. So it's not going to put steel out of business, but it's certainly a complement to what we're doing on the steel side of the world. The steel mills, like I mentioned earlier, we make structural steel, big wide flange beams for construction. We make merchant sections, which go into like steel buildings and trailers and things like that. Special bar quality. And those steels are generally going to be forged into engine parts, crankshafts, camshafts, pistons, also things for like Caterpillar and hydraulic cylinders. So we make those. In the flat rolled world, we make everything from fabricated steel that would go into like dumpster construction on the low end, all the way up to automotive steel. So the European automakers that have located here in the United States, we are the largest supplier in North America
Wow.
to them. It started with an opportunity because our carbon footprint and our energy consumption was so low, but it's it's the team, it's the, the dealing with our culture that is what they really like. So even though they're going to get the lowest carbon content in the world, it's also they like dealing with our team. It's refreshing. We don't have layers of management. We don't have millions of bureaucrats going around. They can get access to the people, not just me, but they get access to our schedulers. And, hey, we got a problem,
Right.
and we can solve them. So the auto industry likes the breath of fresh air that we are. So it's very different from the low end hot roll all the way up to engineered steels, pipeline steels. Our newest steel mill in Sinton, Texas, is the next iteration of that technology that we started back in 1995 in Butler. And it's a necessary innovation. Is designed to make steels for pipelines that up to 84 inches wide, that are very thick, so up to 1 inch thick. So it's the widest, thickest hot roll coil in North America for the most demanding applications. So we had to grow. We couldn't just do status quo. We saw what our customers needed. We knew what we could do with our own technology. We said, it's time. It's time to make that leap. So we progressed that way. And then the other platform I'll mention is New Millennium. That's our joist and deck operation of fabrication, part of our company. And in this era, particularly when you hear about these hyperscalers with data centers, the pharmaceutical companies building facilities at breakneck speeds to get new drugs out, chips, computer chips in our country, energy, whether it's solar or, different kinds of energy facilities. New Millennium sits right in the middle of that, so they can work with the engineer, the owner of a building or a project, and find ways to build faster, to build with less weight of steel, and to do it in a way that's safe and efficient to help the project. So New Millennium's really, really, as much as it is awesome to watch them construct the actual joists, the engineering power behind that is really a great balance between taking a concept from a developer, an architect, building and delivering the joists that are going to build it. We actually have some steel in the sphere, which I saw under construction. I haven't had a chance to see it live yet, but what a cool project to be in.
Very cool.
And when you have special projects and you're known as an engineering house and somebody that can get it built, we get those phone calls.
Yeah,
so
they're turning to you.
It's really a great broad stroke we have. Smaller parts, we have, Superior Aluminum here in Fort Wayne, which is a recycler of aluminum as well, that supplies a lot to the automotive industry. And then we also have Copperworks, which is the largest recycler of copper in the United States. That again was a customer and it was an idea, and why not? All of a sudden we have a national reach, and we have customers that are happy and searching for recycled content copper. So it's really good ideas grow good ideas, and I think when you build it around quality, the highest quality seeks highest quality. Whether it's people, organizations, or products. Our name is important to us, and it's open doors, but it's because we stand there and we work it through, we get it done. So great platforms and then great growth for SDI over the years, and quite a bit to come. We've been very responsible with our shareholders, treasure and their patience and their trust. But the new things are coming every day. And then I assure you, I spend a lot of my time thinking about what we're going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, from a product standpoint. But also, I guess as being here for over 30 years now, I'm really concerned that this thing Steel Dynamics looks like Steel Dynamics in 30 years. And we got to make sure we attend to the culture and the people. Our people have to feel safe so that when they go home, they trust it. When they talk about SDI at the dinner table, their kids hear that. So as I start seeing children of my coworkers. It's one thing to be safe for a person because you respect them and we're together. But when your child comes in the workplace,
Yeah.
that's a different thing. And it's allowing the next generation and for us to become not just a career, but a place that families, find a place to be part of something and take care of their own lives. I mean, that's the goal, right? You want a safe job that's going to provide for your family so you can, live your hopes and dreams. But it all starts with that trust, and it starts with that, what we do every day around the clock at all our shops.
To close up here, Barry, and thanks so much for sharing today. But we want to ask one question: what's your best day? What does your best day look like after you've had a thrilling day at the office or at the plant? You come home and you're energized. What's that like? What happened?
I think in our culture, to see the success around us and to know you had a part of it, that's where I'm at now. And so when we started up sitting again, I was there for the first dubs, taking pictures, shaking hands behind the scenes. We were down in Mississippi, the hot mill for aluminum was running, and the governor was there. It was a big deal. And I was in the pulpits. I was shaking hands because that's that magic. So those are the best days, that when you see the hard work you've done manifest itself through other people, and you see them having success, and you see what we are all capable of as a company together. This isn't a one-man band. This is a bunch of people intently working together every day. So I enjoy that more than anything. Those are good days. It might be a long day. It might be a day spent, sleeping in a crappy hotel somewhere. But that's the energy I get for what I do.
Barry, thank you for today. Everybody, I think we've heard such amazing passion and love, and think about the humility and the understanding of what your purpose is at a huge company. Not 400 people, but thousands of individuals, and being able to look at each of those as precious human beings, to protect them, to look at their safety, and also protect their future. So we thank Barry Schneider today. Thank you, everybody, for Difference Talks. Look into SDI if you have not already. It is one of the most inspiring success stories in business today. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Difference Talks. All of us at LaBov are proud to celebrate great people with inspiring messages. Difference Talks was created, produced, engineered, and performed by the LaBov team. Even the music is original. Contact us at LaBov.com to learn how to differentiate your brand and give your team a sense of significance and meaning.